The CEO girlfriend doesn't know I'm bound to a system. As long as I unconditionally complete 100 tasks for her, I could resurrect my real-world girlfriend. I endured her cold disdain, completed 99 tasks within 5 years, until her white moonlight caused trouble at the racetrack. The venue owner demanded a hand in return. Gu Wanqing proposed that as long as I take the blame and lose a hand for him, she would give me a status. I took a deep breath, gazing at her with eyes as tender as a lover's. Word by word, I replied. I do. I'll agree to any request of yours. Gu Wanqing was startled by my resolute expression. She didn't know that the day of severing the hand was precisely the day I would die and leave. Soon we will both achieve our respective wishes. After entering this world, I tried every possible means to get close to Gu Wanqing. Because of my countless acts of risking life and limb, Gu Wanqing reluctantly kept me by her side. But everyone in City A knew I'm just a dog by Gu Wanqing's side. The last time we met, I also accidentally overheard Gu Wanqing saying to her friend, she had long grown tired of me. If it weren't for my complete obedience to her, would have kicked me out long ago. At that moment, everyone in the room was laughing at my overestimation of myself, laugh at me for having no self-respect at all, laughing at me for not knowing that Gu Wanqing's heart only belongs to Song Jinyan. Only Song Jinyan wasted 3 years of Gu Wanqing's time without even earning a title. My face was full of bitterness. At that moment, my phone suddenly rang. Hey, you surnamed Gu, get your ass over here. Sister Wanqing had an accident at the racetrack. On the other end of the line was Gu Wanqing's so-called friend, only leaving this one sentence before hastily hanging up the phone. It was already midnight, it was still pouring rain outside. I rushed out without even putting on my shoes. Just as I rushed into the racetrack, I frowned tightly, hurriedly asked those people how Wanqing was doing. How is Wanqing? Why are you only coming now? Sister Wanqing just had a dispute with the people at the racetrack. She's being held in the back now. The boss insists on chopping off Miss Wanqing's hand, although the Gu family is an aristocratic family, but the owner of this racetrack also has connections. Jiang Chen, quickly take the blame for Sister Wanqing. Yeah, aren't you Sister Wanqing's #1 simp? I listened to the crowd's words, without hesitation, immediately agreed and said, okay, I'll cut off my hand for Wanqing, hurry up and let Wanqing out. As soon as these words were spoken, everyone exchanged glances with extremely strange expressions. Then they burst into laughter. This idiot is really going to lose a hand for Sister Wanqing. He's truly the world's #1 simp. Sister Wanqing, come out. This guy surnamed Gu would do anything for you. He won't refuse as long as you ask. Tell him what you have to say. I looked utterly bewildered. Then a woman with exquisite features walked out from behind the crowd, a woman as ethereal as an immortal. Gu Wanqing was never detained. At this moment, I realized I had been fooled again. Gu Wanqing walked up to me with an icy expression. Since you can even agree to something like severing a hand, it doesn't matter who it's for anyway. I suddenly had a bad premonition. Gu Wanqing's delicate chin was slightly raised. Her eyes reflected a cold and indifferent glimmer. I want you to cut off your hand for Song Jinyan. What? I was shocked to the core. Cut off Song Jinyan's hand. Gu Wanqing seemed somewhat remorseful, but quickly regained her usual composure. It wasn't me who caused trouble at the racetrack today. It was Jinyan. But Jingyan, now he's being held back by the boss. This matter won't be over unless a hand is left behind. Don't worry, I will compensate you. As long as you agree to sacrifice a hand for Song Jinyan, I promise to give you a status. I couldn't help but let out a bitter laugh upon hearing this. This Gu Wanqing loves Song Jinyan more than I imagined. Gu Wanqing is the daughter of the wealthiest tycoon. Born with a silver spoon in her mouth and surrounded by countless men, yet she only has feelings for Song Jinyan. All these years, she has been carefully guarding Song Jinyan. Song Jinyan enjoys those crazy things, such as car racing and bungee jumping. She clearly dislikes it but shows up every time. Today, she's even going to marry someone she completely dislikes, all for the sake of Song Jinyan. Gu Wanqing's action made my 3 years of actions a complete joke. She frowned tightly upon seeing my prolonged silence. Are you unwilling? I took a deep breath and looked at her with a gaze as tender as a lover's. Word by word, I do. I will agree to any request of yours. Gu Wanqing was startled as she watched my unwavering demeanor. Can loving someone really reach such an extent? He's going to lose a hand, you know. My expression remained gentle. Of course I will agree, because only by being completely obedient to Gu Wanqing I can resurrect my beloved. Let's meet again in 7 days to part ways. But rest assured, I will arrange for the best doctors to treat you. Gu Wanqing stared at me intently, fearing that I might suddenly change my mind. Okay, I smiled with a look of relief. 7 days is exactly when I'll be leaving. Soon I will be completely free. Shi Yao, wait for me, I murmured to myself. 3 years have passed. I can finally resurrect my girlfriend. But as the adrenaline faded away, my vision went dark and my body went limp. Gu Wanqing instinctively reached out to support me, only to see me actually barefoot. There was also a large pool of blood underfoot. Apparently, she was in such a hurry to answer the call that she didn't even have time to put on her shoes. Gu Wanqing's delicate eyebrows furrowed with a complex expression. Does such sincere affection truly exist in this world? so sincere that even disregarding oneself, the people nearby looked at the pool of blood at my feet, first shocked, then sneered with a curl of their lips. Look, look! Jiang Chen's love for Sister Wan Qing is truly devoid of any dignity. Look at the blood all over his feet. Must have rushed out immediately after receiving the call, but a simp will end up with nothing in the end. Do you think Sister Wan Qing cares about him? Sister Wan Qing's heart is completely devoted to young Master Song. Exactly. He could move heaven and earth but still can't touch Sister Wan Qing's heart. Sister Wan Qing, just leave him alone. Anyway, he's already agreed to chop off his hand for young Master Song. Just leave him here. I agree to cut off my hand for Song Jinian. Gu Wanqing should have felt relieved. But when she saw my blood-covered feet, her heart felt inexplicably heavy. She couldn't help but pick up my unconscious body. Everyone was stunned for a moment before frowning and saying, Sister Wan Qing, are you really moved by this simp? Yuan Wangqing's expression changed as Leng Shui said coldly, nonsense. He hasn't chopped off his hand for Song Jinian yet. I did all this for Jinian. With that, she seemed to be covering something up and quickly led me away. I don't know how long I've been unconscious, amidst the dizzying chaos, as if seeing Shi Yao's gentle face, desperately reaching out to cling to this moment of warmth. Shi Yao, please wait for me a little longer, I'm about to go back. For these 3 years, there hasn't been a single moment when I didn't long to reunite with Xiao. And thinking of her, I was able to persevere in this cold world. But at this moment, the warmth vanished. Instead, it was a pair of icy, gloomy, and somewhat angry eyes. Gu Wanqing patted me on the shoulder, her eyebrows knitted into a deep frown. Go back? Where are you going back to? Although Gu Wanqing always claims not to care about me, but upon hearing that I'm leaving, she could hardly accept it, as if the most important thing had been taken away. Damn it, the moment I regained consciousness, my face changed drastically. I must have said something inappropriate in my sleep. I immediately changed the subject. No, by the way, was it you who brought me back? Gu Wanqing frowned tightly upon hearing this, frowned delicately. She was not the type to pry into matters, but still pressed on. I'm asking you a question. Where exactly are you going? Seeing that I couldn't fool her, I sighed helplessly and said, Where can I go when you're right here? As these words were spoken, Gu Wanqing seemed to have taken a reassurance pill. After all, Jiang Chen loves me the most. How could he leave? Enough. The family doctor will come to evaluate you in a moment. You'd better get ready in advance. Gu Wanqing regained her former arrogance. Only then did I understand why Gu Wanqing would condescend to bring me to her home. Took me to his home. It turns out she had already prepared a doctor, afraid that I might go back on my word. I let out a bitter laugh. How could I regret it? As long as it can wake Xiao up, I am willing to sacrifice everything, the doctor murmured beside him. Mr. Jiang, although we can fit you with a prosthetic after your hand is severed, but a prosthetic limb can never compare to a real one. You won't be able to lift heavy objects by then, cannot use hands frequently. The body will have rejection reactions. Even your entire arm could become necrotic. I was lost in thought, did not take the doctor's words seriously. What does rejection matter? What does rejection matter? What does necrosis matter? Anyway, there are only 6 days left. This body will completely perish. Why would I care about these things? Gu Wanqing grew wary as she saw my indifference, a bit nervous. What's this reaction? Are you regretting it now? I came back to my senses and looked at Gu Wanqing tenderly yet firmly, as if looking at someone through her. I promise you, I will definitely do it. Gu Wanqing heard my firm confession, as if burned, flustered and eager to flee. Just remember that, I need some fresh air. I was trapped alone in the room. The doctor's instructions were mostly finished. I got up and left. But I had just reached the staircase corner, encountered Song Jinian, who had been temporarily released. This was my first time encountering Song Jinian in real life. But his appearance was deeply etched in my heart. Because of Gu Wanqing's phone wallpaper, the photo wall at home, and on the keychain, it's the same face. Song Jinian had sculpturally chiseled facial features, deep-set eyes, and thinly pressed lips. People can't help but feel fondness at first sight. No wonder he could make Gu Wanqing, such a proud daughter of heaven, remember him fondly. However, I don't want to have too much interaction with him. I politely nodded and was about to leave. Song Jinian stopped me with a grievance look and said, Mr. Jiang, Wanqing said, Sister Wanqing said it's you who will sever your hand for me, right? I'm really sorry. If it weren't for me causing trouble, you wouldn't have to lose a hand. My expression did not change much. Everything was voluntary on my part. I can only save my girlfriend by obeying Gu Wanqing's every wish, Song Jinian came to show off. But my attitude was like him punching cotton. You volunteered. Don't think I don't know what you're scheming. Do you think losing a hand will make you worthy of marrying Sister Wanqing? His handsome face leaned close to mine, looked rather sinister. In your dreams, before I could even react, Song Jinian gave a sinister smile and fell heavily backward. As he fell, he screamed in panic and horror, screaming, Brother Jiang, I know you're angry with me, but I just wanted to make it up to you. Why are you treating me like this? Before I could explain, I saw a figure flash before my eyes. Then a sharp, stinging pain spread across my face. Jiang Chen, you bastard, if anything happens to Jinian, I will never let you off. Gu Wanqing glared at me fiercely with bloodshot eyes. Then she quickly rushed downstairs to check on Song Jinian. Song Jingyan, I was slapped, my ears ringing, subconsciously wanted to explain. Song Jingyan was the first to speak up. His face pale, he said, Sister Wanqing, don't blame Mr. Jiang. If it weren't for me, he wouldn't have to lose a hand. It's only right for him to vent his anger on me. Hearing this, Gu Wanqing grew even more furious. You agreed to it voluntarily just now. Now you're going back on your word. Are you even a man? And all of this was my decision. Why are you taking it out on the innocent Jinian? Even though I told myself not to feel heartbroken again, but looking at Gu Wanqing's ferocious expression, I still couldn't help but feel my heart constrict, even if there's no love between us. But after I went through fire and water for her for 3 years, this is how she thinks of me. Song Jinian carefully welled up with tears. Forget it, Sister Wanqing. Let Brother Jiang vent his anger. I'm fine. His words were like adding fuel to the fire. Gu Wanqing grew even more furious, said to the bodyguards behind her, how did he push Jinian down? Throw him down the same way? And Jiang Chen, tonight's family banquet, I want you to apologize to Jinian in public. Otherwise, the agreement between us will be completely nullified. With that, Gu Wanqing didn't give me another glance, turned around to coax Song Jinian away. I struggled desperately, but was forcibly lifted by 2 burly security guards, thrown down from the 2nd floor. The violent impact made everything go black before my eyes. Then my vision was engulfed by crimson blood. Help me, save me, but no one paid any attention to me. No one called a doctor for me either. No one was willing to risk their life to protect me like Xiao did. I closed my eyes in despair. After an unknown amount of time, I was splashed awake by a cup of cold water. I clutched my throbbing forehead. My vision blurred. Mr. Jiang's family banquet is about to begin. Miss Su, please come downstairs, the butler said condescendingly. My voice was weak and my face pale. I'm not feeling well. The butler gave me no chance to refuse. The young lady said, even if I have to drag you down by force, must also force you down. My head was splitting with pain, but still gritted my teeth and stood up. I told myself over and over again in my heart, soon, 6 more days and I can complete the mission. Leave this hellish world. I clutched my throbbing forehead. Following the butler, I stumbled unsteadily into the banquet venue. The Gu family relatives were dressed in various haute couture outfits, holding fine wines, drinking and toasting. I was still wearing the blood-stained shirt from this morning, standing out of place in the crowd, but I'm about to leave, nor do I want to stir up any more trouble. Just watching the center of attention. Song Jinian, young master Song, today is my Gu family's banquet. Wanqing even invited you over, clearly treats you as one of the family. I heard that Wanqing even specially arranged for someone to sever your hand. This love is witnessed by heaven and earth. Don't let the one right in front of you slip away. Ah, yes, yes, and the ring on your hand. This is the ocean's heart, personally crafted by American jeweler DS. Worth hundreds of millions, Wanqing went through a lot of trouble to buy it. I looked towards the source of the voice. Indeed, a large and dazzling ring was worn on Song Jinian's hand. Song Jinian also glanced over here with a triumphant air. He thought I would lose my cool, yet I remained composed without a trace of pain. Because there are only 6 days left, I can revive my girlfriend and leave this world for good. Now I just want to minimize my presence as much as possible, yet the tree craves calm but the wind will not cease. Song Jinian suddenly walked toward me with malice on his face. He whispered, you've got some nerve, Gu. Dare to come back, it seems I need to teach you a harsh lesson. You'll keep pestering Sister Wanqing. Wanqing, I realized something was wrong, but it was already too late. Song Jinian sneered and threw the ring in his hand into the fireplace, then exclaimed in surprise, Mr. Jiang, you can be as angry as you want, but you can't lose the ring Sister Wanqing gave me, the ring Qing gave me. The crowd was quickly drawn away by Song Jinian's exclamation. Gu Wanqing also hurriedly stepped forward. What's wrong, Jinian? Did Jiang Chen bully you again? Song Jinian immediately burst into tears, covering her mouth and shaking her head, covered her mouth and shook her head, saying, I'm sorry, Sister Wanqing. I failed to protect the ring you gave me. Mr. Jiang threw it into the burning charcoal. Gu Wanqing's pretty face instantly darkened further, glared at me with knife-sharp eyes. What exactly do you want to let Jin Nian go? Then she coaxed tenderly with heartache. It's okay, it's just a ring. If you like it, I can have another one custom made for you. Song Jinian, however, wailed, No, this is the first ring you gave me, I must have it. With that, he frantically thrust his hand into the charcoal fire. Gu Wanqing quickly stopped him and said, Are you crazy? Your hand will get burned. Song Jinian cried out, I don't care, I must have this ring. Gu Wanqing furrowed her brows, then as if suddenly thinking of something, glared at me coldly. Since Jinian insists on having this ring, then let you, the chief culprit, go get it. With that, she suddenly pushed me towards the fireplace. I let out a scream. My hands were instantly scorched by the 1,000-degree fireplace. The fireplace was filled with glowing red embers. The flesh was quickly scalded, festering and bleeding. The excruciating pain made my vision go black. The pain of being scorched by flames intertwined with the agony of being thrown off the building earlier. I can barely hold on. It hurts. I suddenly thought about just dying like this. But the moment I think of Xiao's gentle face, I gritted my teeth. No, I can't die yet. If I die, the mission will be declared a failure. Xiao will never be revived. At this thought, I clenched my teeth and mustered the last bit of strength to pull out my hands. The scorching charcoal had already stuck to my hands. Pulling my hands out again would be no different from flaying the skin and plucking the tendons. I fell to the ground in a wretched state. Both hands were covered in blood. The wound was almost bone deep. The overwhelming pain left my mind blank. His hands were trembling like a sieve. Everyone's eyes looking at me were as if they were watching a joke. But before I could regain my composure, he was once again held up by two people. The two black-clad bodyguards said with cold expressions, "Miss Sue said you must retrieve the ring today. Sorry." With that, I was thrown back into the fireplace again. My already blood-stained hands were once again scorched by the burning coals. I turned my head back in despair. I also realized that if I couldn't retrieve this ring today, they won't let me go. I could only grit my teeth and search through the scorching charcoal. The flames swept over, scorching every inch of skin on my hands, as if being sliced by 1,000 knives, caused me immense pain. Yet I could only endure this extreme torture. Time and again, I moved the burning charcoal away, searched for a full hour. My hands were covered in blood, with not a single patch of intact flesh left. I finally found the ring. The black-clad bodyguard casually threw me a roll of gauze. Leaning against the wall, I barely managed to drag myself to the back and haphazardly bandaged my hands. I was about to get some painkillers for myself when, suddenly caught sight of a familiar figure, was holding the phone and speaking triumphantly. "Jinian, I think you should just give in to Gu Wanqing. Look, she takes you to family banquets every day, even gave you a ring in public. What does this mean? It's as clear as day. That is to say, the moment you speak, she would even pluck the stars from the sky for you. And this time you almost had your hands severed. It was also Gu Wanqing who arranged for someone to take your place, and your ring was thrown into the fireplace. Gu Wanqing even directly asked Zhang Chen to reach in and retrieve it. Haven't you been moved by Gu Wanqing at all?" Song Jinian seemed to find it utterly laughable. "Mom, it's fine if Gu Wanqing was fooled by me. Did you and Dad also fall for my deception?" The other end of the phone was stunned. "You mean," Song Jinian sneered, "human nature is inherently base, Mom and Dad. If I were to agree to Gu Wanqing's request so easily, do you think she would still treat me as well as she does now? Things that are too easily obtained are never cherished. So ever since I initially rejected Gu Wanqing, this is all just a setup." The Song couple was stunned. "Then why did you insist on going abroad back then?" Song Jinian sneered and laughed. "Of course it was also to deceive Gu Wanqing. I had to leave when her feelings for me were at their strongest. Only then will she remember me forever." The Song couple couldn't help but sigh upon hearing this. "Good son, you're really something else. But don't take it too far. Our Song family's capital chain has broken. We're still counting on her to invest in us. Yes, especially that Zhang Chen. He is indeed a rival. Gu Wanqing has promised, as long as he helps you sever your hand, we'll grant him recognition. They are getting married again. All your schemes will be in vain," Song Jinian said confidently with a smile. "Mom and Dad, you can rest assured. Gu Wanqing has absolutely no feelings for that simp Zhang Chen. This morning I intentionally fell down the stairs and framed Zhang Cheng. She didn't even check the surveillance footage, had Zhang Chen thrown down the stairs to vent my anger. And today, this ring was also deliberately thrown into the fireplace by me. You see, Gu Wanqing didn't hesitate to believe it either, forced Zhang Chen to retrieve it. As long as I say a word, Gu Wanqing even forgot her own surname and even married Zhang Chen. I couldn't believe my ears and covered my mouth to prevent myself from crying out. It turns out all of this was a scheme set up by Song Jinian. The cherished white moonlight of Gu Wanqing. The true face turned out to be so despicable, I quickly checked my phone. Fortunately, I've recorded all of this video. There are only 6 days left before leaving. I took a deep breath. This will serve as the final surprise I give to Gu Wanqing. When I returned upstairs, discovered Gu Wanqing standing at the door of my room. At this moment, Gu Wanqing stood with her arms crossed. A pair of beautiful eyes glared at me gloomily, but a flicker of reluctance flashed in her eyes when they fell on my hands. "I already told you not to provoke Jinian again. Why won't you listen?" I quietly hid my hands behind my back. My heart felt even more desolate. I said, why would Gu Wanqing come to wait for me late at night? It was all for Song Jinian after all. I instinctively wanted to take out the video, but still let go, because I knew that at this moment, Gu Wanqing trusted Song Jinian far more than she trusted herself. At this moment, trusting Song Jinian far more than myself, even if I show the video, Gu Wanqing would not believe it either. She might even think I'm framing Song Jinian. But it will be different after I leave. A man's words are good when death is near. Thinking of this, I lowered my gaze and after a long while finally said, "After a long while until now I don't know how to explain it to you. I'll give you the answer in 6 days." With that, I limped back to my room. Without looking back, Gu Wanqing frowned as she watched my retreating figure. Beautiful scenery remained, feel inexplicably complicated. The next morning I got up early, because today is the anniversary of my relationship with Xiao. At this time every year, Xiao would always drag me along to the amusement park. The two of them would spend the whole day at the amusement park. In the evening, we would go to the restaurant and enjoy a delicious meal. Every time we enjoyed a meal, I think of that scene, can't help but curl up into a smile. In just 5 days, I can return to how things were before. I eagerly bought 2 tickets and came to the amusement park. This is Xiao's favorite place. After completing all this, I walked into the amusement park, gazing affectionately at the plain ring hidden in my palm. This is the only memento Xiao left me after the time travel. Shalong, today is our anniversary. I wish. Before I could finish speaking, then came a familiar yet slightly puzzled voice. Zhang, why are you here? Gu Wanqing furrowed her delicate brows, seemed surprised why I was here, and looked at the 2 tickets in my hand again. Her face darkened even more. How did you know today is the anniversary of my mother's death? I was stunned, quietly hid the ring. The system also promptly reminded, today is indeed the anniversary of Gu Wanqing's mother's death. Gu Wanqing is the daughter of the Gu family head's first wife. Unfortunately, the first wife got into a car accident while taking little Wanqing to the amusement park. This also left an enormous shadow in Gu Wanqing's heart. Because of this, Father Gu has always blamed Gu Wanqing, causing discord between father and daughter. Since then, Gu Wanqing never set foot in an amusement park again. This was a secret that no one knew, including her beloved Song Jinian, so when I showed up with 2 amusement park tickets, appeared in front of Gu Wanqing, her heart was shaken. I didn't expect it to be such a coincidence. I couldn't tell the truth either, could only stand there in silence, but my silence was interpreted differently by Gu Wanqing, carried another layer of meaning. Her beautiful eyes slightly misted over, a trace of emotion appeared on her usually cold and aloof pretty face. The secretary couldn't help but speak up for me, President Su. All of these were prepared by Mr. Jiang before dawn. Not only did he buy tickets to the amusement park, and also reserve the best restaurant nearby just to make you happy, pity him with all his hand injuries. This secretary has been with Gu Wanqing for many years. She could clearly tell who was genuine and who was fake. He sees through it all. Although Mr. Jiang is not good with words, but can risk his life for President Su. Although Song Jinian has won President Su's favor, he is flashy without substance. She still hopes that President Su and Mr. Jiang could end up together. Gu Wanqing looked at me with a somewhat complicated expression. Her gaze was somewhat complicated. After a long silence, she bit her lip and regained her aloof demeanor. Even if you do all these for me, I won't be grateful to you either. Although Gu Wanqing acted coy, but still followed me into the amusement park. She remembered her biggest childhood dream was to visit an amusement park once, but every time she mentioned her father, she would be scolded harshly. Little did she understand so much at that young age. Later on, she never went to the amusement park again. Who would have thought that her first time at an amusement park was with me? Although I really want to say, today is the anniversary with Shiru, but there was no helping Gu Wanqing's misunderstanding. The 2 of them just played around in the amusement park like this. In the end, Gu Wanqing finished all the rides, was about to leave. I pointed to the Ferris wheel on the mountain and said, we haven't tried this one yet. Legend has it that when the Ferris wheel reaches its highest point, you can make a wish. Gu Wanqing was stunned, subconsciously raised her head. She had never been to an amusement park, so she was unaware of the legend of the Ferris wheel. We boarded the Ferris wheel until we reached the highest point. A glimmer flashed through my eyes as I urging that it's reached the highest point. Make a wish quickly. Although Gu Wanqing found it childish, but still clasped her hands together and said, may Song Jinian be safe and sound. Don't get injured while doing extreme sports. After making the wish, she instinctively looked at me. He instinctively looked at me. The smile in my eyes gradually faded. Couldn't help but add, I hope Zhang Chen's surgery in 6 days will also go smoothly, without affecting normal life. As they spoke, the Ferris wheel gradually descended from its highest point. Who knew that when only the last 10 meters remained, the Ferris wheel suddenly malfunctioned. The iron cable above us was swaying precariously, watching the cabin we were sitting in plummet. At the critical moment, I suddenly lunged towards Gu Wanqing. I can leave in 6 more days. But if anything happens to Gu Wanqing, the target of my mission will automatically fail. Even if I die, I won't let Gu Wanqing suffer any harm. Thinking of this, I tightly shielded Gu Wanqing in my arms. I held Gu Wanqing tightly in my arms. With a loud bang, the gondola of the Ferris wheel fell from a height of 10 meters, shattered into pieces. Gu Wanqing panicked as she saw me shielding her tightly in my arms. Then more and more blood gushed out from under my head. Zhang Chen, no. Before I passed out, only heard this heart-wrenching scream. I closed my eyes in a daze. I must have misheard. How could Gu Wanqing be so worried about me? Before I could figure it out, I completely fell into unconsciousness. I don't know how long it had been. I just woke up clutching my aching forehead. I saw Gu Wanqing gripping my shoulders and exclaimed excitedly, excited to Zhang Chen. Zhang Chen, you're crazy. Why did you use yourself as a shield? Do you know that could get someone killed? My shoulders ached from her grip, but couldn't tell her the truth. If Gu Wanqing dies, all my efforts over these 3 years would be in vain. Me would never be able to revive. With this in mind, I gazed at Gu Wanqing with deep affection in my eyes. Even if I die, I must keep you safe. Gu Wanqing was deeply shaken inside. These 3 years, although I repeatedly professed my love to her, but she never took it seriously. But at the life and death moment on the Ferris wheel, I did not hesitate to give her the chance to live. What is this if not love? All those past acts of complete compliance, those verbal agreements might still be acted out, but this is betting with my life. Do I really love myself this much? Just as Gu Wanqing was feeling conflicted, was about to say something to me when, suddenly the phone rang. Sister Wanqing, something terrible has happened. Come to the hospital quickly. Song Jinian has leukemia and urgently needs a bone marrow transplant. What? Upon hearing this, Gu Wanqing suddenly stood up, looked flustered. How could Jinian suddenly get leukemia? The other end of the phone said urgently, Wanqing Festival. Wanqing, just don't ask about these things for now. Young Master Song has Rh-negative blood. The hospital doesn't have a suitable blood supply. Currently, Jiang Chen is the only one in the city with Rh-negative blood. Get him here immediately. Gu Wanqing looked at me, who had just woken up from severe injuries with a pale face, hesitated for the first time. Can we source the bone marrow from another city? After all, I got hurt because of her. I just got out of the ICU and now I'm being dragged to donate marrow again. Even Gu Wanqing thought it was cruel. The best friend on the other end of the phone was stunned, and then exclaimed in surprise, Sister Wanqing, what are you doing? That's Song Jinian. You actually rejected Song Jinian for Jiang Chen. In their eyes, I was just Gu Wanqing's free blood bag. How could Gu Wanqing care about the life or death of a blood bag? Instead, I saw Gu Wanqing's hesitant expression, immediately pulled out the needle and said calmly, I'm fine. Go donate bone marrow to Song Jinian. I checked the time. I had been unconscious for a full 3 days. There are only 3 days left, and absolutely no mistakes can be allowed. After all, if I go against Gu Wanqing's will, I wouldn't be able to revive Xiao. I have only one goal in mind, is to complete the mission. I gritted my teeth and leaned against the wall to stand up. But I nearly collapsed at that moment. After a long while, I managed to steady myself and walked out. Gu Wanqing gazed at my gaunt figure from behind. Her heart couldn't help but tighten. Perhaps it was because I almost lost my life for her, or because I didn't hesitate to donate bone marrow for Song Jinian. She always felt that my figure looked so desolate. The person I should care about the most is clearly Song Jinian. It was clearly Song Jinian. I agreed to donate the marrow. She should have been relieved. He should be relieved. Why does it still hurt so much? Could it be that 3 years of getting along, she had unwittingly developed feelings for Jiang Chen? This thought had just entered her mind. Gu Wanqing immediately denied. No, this is absolutely impossible. The only person I love is Song Jinian. She merely pitied Jiang Chen. She took a deep breath, quickly followed me to the hospital. Donating bone marrow requires inserting the needle into the deepest artery. I just came back from the brink of death. The nurse attempted several times but failed to draw arterial blood. I closed my eyes. His lips had already turned pale and bloodless. What's the matter with you? Why did you draw blood so many times? Look, his veins have turned blue. Gu Wanqing couldn't help but scold. The young nurse rolled her eyes. Isn't it because you insisted on him donating bone marrow? He is not in a condition suitable for blood donation right now. How much arterial blood do you expect to extract? Gu Wanqing was left speechless by her retort. I raised my head and looked at Gu Wanqing seriously, saying, Don't worry, even if all my blood is drained, it won't delay me severing my hand for Song Jinian 3 days later either. Gu Wanqing froze. She instinctively wanted to say that wasn't what she meant, but the young nurse on the other side reminded, That's enough bone marrow for now. Let him eat more blood-nourishing foods these days. How could someone so young be in such poor health? Thank you. I sincerely thanked the little nurse, then said earnestly to Gu Wanqing, If there's nothing else, you can go keep an eye on Mr. Song. You don't need to stay here with me. Without waiting for Gu Wanqing to speak, I lay down on the hospital bed and closed my eyes. Gu Wanqing looked at my pale face devoid of any color. Her chest felt as if blocked by a lump of cotton. She wanted to speak but remained silent for a while before leaving. Day by day passed. WG simply stayed in the hospital. First, I had to be ready to donate bone marrow to Song Jinian at any time. Secondly, my current condition is not suitable for discharge from the hospital. Now there's only one thing on my mind, that is to wait for the day when I have to sever my hand for Song Jinian. Once I get through this day, I'll be completely free. That day, I had just come back from changing my bandages. I overheard 2 doctors whispering about something. You said young Master Song isn't sick at all. How can such a thing be kept secret? Even if we can't hide it, we must keep hiding. Young Master Song actually gave each of us 100,000 yuan. Just let us deceive Miss Su. Must say he has leukemia. My pupils dilated abruptly upon hearing this. Song Jinian's leukemia was also fabricated. I heard that young Master Song was targeting that guy surnamed Jiang, would falsely claim to have leukemia, but Mr. Jiang is covered in wounds inside and out, can't withstand any more blood draws. So what? Young Master Song means it would be best to draw GT's blood. I felt my blood run cold to the very end. I knew Song Jinian was vicious, but I never expected I could be this ruthless. We have no grievances between us. He actually wanted to drain my blood. I instinctively pressed the record button. If the previous videos could still be questioned by Gu Wanqing, this audio recording is something Song Jinian can never explain away. I stared at the phone with desolation in my eyes. Gu Wanqing, the person you've been longing for is actually this kind of person. I really wonder how you'll react when you see his true colors. Death countdown, 23 hours, 59 minutes, and 59 seconds, 59 minutes and 59 seconds. I listened to the system's prompt and looked outside the hospital room. His hands trembled slightly with excitement. I'm finally going back. Recently, Gu Wanqing's behavior has been quite unusual. She almost comes to have dinner with me every day, and even had the housekeeper prepare pig liver soup for me. Of course, I wouldn't think Gu Wanqing had a change of heart. Presumably, she was afraid I would back out at the critical moment, hence her behavior. But she needn't worry. Because I've been waiting for this day even longer, let alone severing a hand, even if it means going to the guillotine, I would gladly accept it. At this moment, I suddenly heard a quarrel outside the door. The voice belonged to none other than but Gu Wanqing and her best friend, Song Jinian, who was trying to stop you from marrying Jiang Chen, crying and making a scene, even threatening to give up treatment. Why don't you just come clean with Jiang Chen about everything? What are you waiting for? Gu Wanqing lowered her eyes after a long silence and said, I'm just afraid that if I tell Jiang Chen, he'll go back on his word, refuse to chop off his hand for Jinian. Oh, come on. No way. Jiang Chen is your #1 simp. You say one and he won't say two. As long as you say the word, even if you don't marry him, he would even sever his hand for Song Jinian. Her best friend Shukshu tried to persuade her a few more times. Then, as if thinking of something, her expression suddenly changed. Wanqing, don't tell me, do you really have feelings for Jiang Chen? Gu Wanqing remained silent at first. Her expression finally turned cold upon hearing the last part. Don't talk nonsense. The only one I love is Jinian. In the hospital room, my eyes were dim. Dim eyes, shook his head with a bitter smile and closed his eyes. Closed my eyes. The two exchanged a few more words outside the ward. Gu Wanqing pushed the door open and walked in. I pretended to have just woken up, but I already knew what Gu Wanqing was going to say. Sure enough, Gu Wanqing got straight to the point and said, Jinian disagrees with me using marriage to you as a condition, to sever your hand for him. He doesn't want me to marry someone I don't love because of him. So sorry, I can no longer do what I promised you before, but except for marrying you, I can promise you anything. I suddenly remembered what Song Jinian said to me during the family banquet. As long as he doesn't nod, Gu Wanqing would definitely not marry me. So this is his method of stopping Gu Wanqing. It's just a pity that Song Jinian had no idea. I never loved Gu Wanqing in the first place. I took a deep breath and looked at Gu Wanqing. Can you promise me anything? Then I hope I can chop off Song Jinian's hand right now, what? Gu Wanqing's pupils constricted. Her pretty face was full of disbelief. What did you say? You wish to sever Song Jinian's hand immediately? Is this your wish? I nodded with firm determination in my eyes. Yes, I hope to end all this as soon as possible, to set your mind at ease, and I can return to the world that belongs to me and Jilu as soon as possible. Gu Wanqing looked into my firm and affectionate eyes, suddenly feeling scorched by the love in my eyes, nowhere to escape. She had thought about breaking the agreement. I would scold, break down, or even lash out, never expected me to react like this. Gu Wanqing's delicate eyebrows furrowed tightly, her light brown pupils were filled with confusion. Jiang Chen, why are you so good to me? I gazed affectionately at Gu Wanqing with profound eyes, yet it seemed as if he was looking through her at someone in his heart. I said firmly, no reason, because you are the meaning of my existence. This is also the truth. It was for Gu Wanqing that I came to this world. Gu Wanqing's body seemed to be struck by a powerful electric current. Every nerve was trembling. She never understood love before, but at this moment she seemed to perceive the essence of love. Gu Wanqing blurted out uncontrollably, after you, Zheng Jinian, finish severing your hand, I have something to give you. I slightly curled up the corners of my mouth, handed over his phone. What a coincidence. What a coincidence. I also have something to show you, but I hope you can wait until after I finish peeling my hand to open it. Gu Wanqing was puzzled. Why can't I see it now? I smiled faintly, because seeing it now would ruin the surprise. There's not only the recordings of Song Jinian and the Song couple, and the conversation between two doctors, as well as the surveillance video of Song Jinian falling down the stairs by herself that day. However, by the time Gu Wanqing sees all this, I should have completely left by then. That noon, I walked into the racetrack surrounded by a group of medical staff. These people were all sent by Gu Wanqing. After my hand is severed, take me to the operating room immediately. Everything was perfectly in place, but Gu Wanqing looked at my frail figure, suddenly felt a pang in her heart, as if missing a piece. She instinctively stepped forward and said to the doctor, Are you sure Jiang Chen won't be in danger? The doctor shook his head reassuringly and said, Don't worry, it's just the loss of a hand and not life-threatening. And we will proceed with Mr. Zhang's surgery immediately. We will absolutely ensure his safety. Although Gu Wanqing had received the doctor's assurance, but for some reason, her heart was always filled with unease. She covered her chest with her hand. When did she start caring about me so much? Could she have developed genuine feelings for me? Racing circuit, I stared at DS holding the axe in front of me. My heart pounded like thunder, yet it wasn't panic, but anticipation and wild joy. As soon as this axe falls, Shi Yao will be revived. I can also return to the original world. Everything will return to the way it was. Snap, the axe fell. I only felt my body extremely exhausted, gradually closed my eyes. Consciousness also grew hazy. Congratulations, Host YM, on completing the mission. Your beloved has awakened. Next, the system will send you back to your original world. After the axe fell, the doctors quickly stepped forward, but the next moment someone let out an incredulous roar. Not good. The patient has no heartbeat. What? The patient has no heartbeat. Gu Wanqing, who was sitting outside waiting, suddenly stood up, the color drained from her face. How could this be? The secretary beside her quickly comforted her. President Su, please don't panic. Cardiac arrest during surgery is a very common occurrence. Moreover, the doctor said it's just a minor surgery, no vital organs were harmed. Gu Wanqing barely calmed down upon hearing this reassurance, but she was even more surprised. The person she loved most was clearly Song Jinian. It should be Song Jinian. Why would you be so nervous for me? The moment she heard my heart stop, she felt her entire body's blood run cold. She didn't even have time to thank Song Jinian, who was still seriously ill in the hospital. What's wrong with me? Gu Wanqing felt like she was no longer herself. I don't feel like myself anymore. Why is she so flustered upon hearing that I'm in danger? Over the past 3 years, I've done far more dangerous things for her. How could she be so unsettled by me? Moreover, the doctors said there would absolutely be no danger. Why bother being so nervous? Gu Wanqing didn't even notice herself. Over these 3 years, I have unknowingly become a part of her life. 3 years ago, Song Jinian rejected her and chose to study abroad. Song Jinian rejected him and chose to go abroad. During that time, Gu Wanqing was devastated, drank heavily every day and even self-harmed. At first, friends were still by her side, but seeing her unable to move on for so long, gradually drifted apart. Only I remained, steadfastly staying by her side. When she got drunk, I would make her sobering soup. When she self-harmed, I used my own flesh to block her. Gu Wanqing cried, cursed, and hit me. Yet I still stayed by her side unwaveringly. One time, Gu Wanqing called Song Jinian while drunk, but the other end kept hanging up on her. In utter despair, she drew the knife and was about to slash her own carotid artery. At that critical moment, I couldn't stop her in time. Actually used my own arm to block the knife for her. At that moment, Gu Wanqing was sobered up by the sight of overwhelming crimson. I lost too much blood. His face was deathly pale, yet he still managed to comfort her. Still didn't forget to comfort her. Don't be afraid. From today onwards, I will always be by your side. Fulfill all your wishes. It was because of me that Gu Wanqing was able to get through those difficult times. I filled her life like air. Even if Gu Wanqing is unwilling to admit it, she has to acknowledge, I have become an indispensable presence in her life. Yet with such determination, the me who will definitely fulfill all your wishes. The words I said to myself before entering the racetrack were so sorrowful, as if I had already sensed the ominous outcome. Gu Wanqing's heart was even more tightly wound. Her hands were tightly clenched together, kept looking into the racetrack. Finally, a group in white coats walked out quickly. Gu Wanqing rushed forward immediately. How is Jiang Chen? The leading doctor looked grim. President Su, please accept our condolences. Mr. Jiang's body exhibited very peculiar phenomena during the surgery. Just as they severed his hand, he showed no signs of life. However, his blood is still usable. The leukemia you're concerned about, Mr. Song Jinian, can be cured now. Gu Wanqing's mind went blank. After the words, my condolences, she could no longer hear anything. He could no longer hear anything. Her mind was filled with one sentence. Jiang Chen has no vital signs. He's already gone. What nonsense are you talking about? Jiang Chen walked in perfectly fine. How could he lose his vital signs just from having his hands severed? He went berserk. She frantically tore at the doctor's white coat. His hands trembled uncontrollably. His eyes were filled with bloodshot veins, like a devil from hell. Was it your quack medicine that harmed him? Say it. Say it, Dr. Shi Jiang said. No, President Su, this has nothing to do with us. The surgical instruments are all recorded. He had no heartbeat right after his hand was chopped off. Nonsense. You're talking nonsense. Gu Wanqing pushed the doctor away like a madwoman. Push aside the doctor, stumbling towards the racetrack. Her voice trembled. Jiang Chen, you get up for me. Didn't you promise to fulfill all my wishes? I want you to get up. Gu Wanqing frantically pushed open the racetrack gate and peered inside. In a simply set-up operating room, the surgical instruments lay cold. The doctors and nurses watched the furious Gu Wanqing, their faces also pale. Who would have thought such a minor surgery could go wrong? What they couldn't understand even more was, shouldn't Gu Wanqing be relieved for Song Jinian at this moment? After all, Song Jinian is her true love. Yet who could have imagined that after the hand was severed, Gu Wanqing never mentioned Song Jinian again? Instead, her eyes were filled with Jiang Chen. Gu Wanqing looked at the operating table. Her body trembled violently, almost unable to stand. In her heart, I'm like an indestructible cockroach. Such a dangerous moment on the Ferris wheel. I made it through. How could I leave her because of a minor surgery? Her feet felt as heavy as lead. Gazing at the blood-soaked body on the operating table, her face was deathly pale without a trace of color. Gu Wanqing swayed unsteadily, continuously reaching out to wipe the bloodstains from my face. But the more she wiped, the more blood there was. Jiang Chen is really gone. That smiling person who sat beside her and told her, the person who would fulfill all her wishes, no longer exists. At this moment, Gu Wanqing seemed to have lost all support. Suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood, then completely fell into a coma. At the same time, I finally returned to the world that belongs to me. I seem to have had a long dream. The dream was bizarre and fantastical. I did all this to resurrect my beloved, stayed by another woman's side for 2 years. These 3 years have been incredibly painful and torturous for me. Even wanted to end my own life, but for the sake of my beloved, I persevered. Xiao. I struggled awake, calling out my beloved's name. The blinding sunlight made me cover my eyes. The next moment I saw the familiar room, the familiar curtains, everything familiar. My pupils dilated with excitement. Tears kept falling uncontrollably. This is my room. I'm really back. Does that mean Xiao has also come back to life? Thinking of this, I rushed outside, exclaimed excitedly, Xiao, Xiao! I searched back and forth in the room, but there was no trace of Xiao. What made my heart ache even more was, all traces of Xiao's life in the room had completely vanished. Could it be that all of this was just a fleeting dream and the system was fake? Those 3 years were also fake. Xiao won't come back to life either. I seemed to have lost all strength, collapsed onto the sofa. Despair flooded my heart. If all of this is fake, then I would rather not wake up. At least then I'd still have a glimmer of hope to keep me alive. But now the hope is shattered. How can I keep living alone in this cold world? I am an orphan, raised by my grandfather since childhood without parents. Xiao is the only light in my life. I will never forget the scene of Xiao desperately shielding me in the face of the car accident. Only Xiao would risk her life for me in this world. I collapsed to the ground in despair. My heart felt as if it were being sliced apart. Tears fell in large drops. What's the point of living without Xiao? No one will ever love me like my life again. I got up in a daze and picked up the fruit knife on the coffee table. His gaze gradually grew resolute. I said palely, Xiao, Xiao, don't be afraid. I'm here with you now. Actually, from the moment Xiyu passed away, I was prepared to follow her in death. If it hadn't been for the system appearing at the critical moment, I might have already committed suicide. But now it's all a lie. What system? What alternate world? What just stay by Gu Wanqing's side for 3 years? Could revive Xiao? Everything was a lie. I lost my last hope, desperately pulled out a fruit knife, closed my eyes and was about to slit my wrist. Suddenly, there was a startled exclamation from outside the door. Sir, what are you doing? Thump! I heard this familiar voice. My heart suddenly skipped a beat. I couldn't believe my eyes as I looked toward the door. In the next moment, my eyes instantly reddened. Xiao, Xiao, it's really her. The fruit knife in my hand dropped, staring unblinkingly at Xiao. Shiruo's appearance was almost identical to what I remembered, still so gentle and charming. She was bathed in the sunlight. Just one glance brings a sense of peace and comfort. I have never been so grateful to the heavens at any moment. I frantically rushed towards Xiao. Rushing towards Xiao. I miss you so much. I really miss you so much, Xiao. Where did you run off to? I'm so scared I'll never see you again. Men only cry when deeply hurt. It's just that the heart has not been broken yet. My tears kept falling. I hugged Xiao as if holding my entire world. But at this moment, Xiao slightly frowned, gently pushed me away. Her gaze remained as gentle as ever, yet now it revealed aloofness and unfamiliarity. Sir, life is precious. No matter what happens, you should never commit suicide. My heart was shocked. His pupils dilated in disbelief and said, Mr. Dao, sir, don't you recognize me? Shilian looked puzzled, her delicate brows slightly furrowed. Do we know each other? At this moment, I felt as if the mountains were collapsing and the earth was splitting. Meanwhile, on Gu Wanqing's side, she couldn't accept my death. In a fit of rage and anxiety, vomited a mouthful of heart's blood and fainted on the spot, vomited and then fainted. By the time she woke up, it was already night. Zhang Chun, Gu Wanqing opened her eyes. The first thing was to look for me. The secretary beside them sighed at the sight. President Su, Mr. Zhang is already gone. Please don't torment yourself anymore. You're only hurting your own health. Gu Wanqing's beautiful eyes suddenly flashed with killing intent. Snarled, you're lying, Zhang Chun won't die. He promised to stay by my side forever. With that, she yanked out the IV needle, was about to run out barefoot. The secretary saw Gu Wanqing's frenzied state, gritted her teeth and blocked her path. President Su, please come to your senses. Zhang Chun passed away during yesterday's surgery. And isn't Mr. Song the one you love most? Isn't it enough that he's unharmed? The hospital also mentioned Mr. Zhang's last remaining blood saved Mr. Song. Mr. Song will be discharged from the hospital soon. Isn't this what you've always wanted? Gu Wanqing froze. Yes, Song Jinian is safe. Isn't this exactly what you've been hoping for? Although cutting off a hand doesn't harm vital parts? But during this period, I saved her, donated bone marrow, retrieved the ring from the fire. Every single thing nearly cost me half my life. She even forced me to chop off my hand for Song Jinian despite my poor health. And even broke the promise at the most critical moment. She couldn't marry me. My body was already in poor condition. To lose my last hope, wouldn't that leave one utterly devastated? Gu Wanqing's face turned pale as she weakly collapsed to the ground. It was she who caused my death. She is the one who killed me. But the next moment, she suddenly thought of something important. Before entering the racetrack, I handed my phone to her, saying there was a surprise for her inside. Give me my phone. Gu Wanqing quickly opened the phone, found that it had been formatted. Only a few videos were left. Her hands trembling, she clicked on the video, anticipating the surprise inside. Could this be the last words I left for her? He must still have so much to say to me. Gu Wanqing didn't even notice herself, how much she cherished me's relics. She couldn't wait to click on the video, like a demon gazing at heaven, want to take another look at me. But the person in the video wasn't me. It's fine if Gu Wanqing was fooled by me. Did you and Dad also fall for my deception? Song Jinian sneered. Human nature is inherently cheap. If I had agreed to Gu Wanqing so easily, do you think she would still treat me as well as she does now? Things that are too easily obtained will not be treasured. So from the moment I initially rejected Gu Wanqing, this is all just a setup. This morning, I deliberately fell down the stairs, framed Jiang Chen. She didn't even check the surveillance footage, had someone throw Jiang Chen down the stairs to vent my anger. And today, this ring was also deliberately thrown into the fireplace by me. Look, Gu Wanqing didn't even doubt it, forced Jiang Chen to retrieve it. As long as I say a word, Gu Wanqing even forgot her own last name. You said young Master Song isn't sick at all. How can such a thing be concealed? Even if it can't be concealed, we must keep it hidden. Young Master Song gave each of us 100,000 yuan. Just have us fool Miss Su. Definitely say he has leukemia. Gu Wanqing's pupils suddenly dilated upon hearing this. Song Jinian's leukemia was also fabricated. I heard that young Master Song did this to deal with that guy surnamed Jiang, would falsely claim to have leukemia, but Mr. Jiang's body is covered in wounds inside and out, can't withstand any more extraction. So what? Young Master Song means it would be best to draw GT's blood, wouldn't it? The last video was surveillance footage. The footage clearly displayed the scene in the stairwell that day. I never touched Song Jinian. It was Song Jinian who smirked and fell down the stairs by herself. This was all a setup. It was all Song Jinian's scheme to frame me. Gu Wanqing was trembling all over by the end. Her knuckles turned white from gripping the phone. She suddenly felt the man in the video was so unfamiliar. It was as if she was seeing Song Jinian for the first time. In the past, Gu Wanqing only thought Song Jinian was frail and delicate, needed her protection. But now, seeing him, he's as vicious as a demon from hell, to make oneself wholeheartedly devoted. He was actually capable of committing so many insane acts. Not only did he harm innocent me, and even drag her into being an executioner, at this moment, Gu Wanqing was consumed with rage. Her teeth were nearly gritted to pieces. What has she been doing all this time? Time and again, she followed Song Jinian's lead to wrong me, threw me down the stairs, made me pull the chestnuts out of the fire, and even forced me to cut off my hand. Yet I didn't have the slightest complaint, but at the critical moment of life and death, used his own body as a cushion to save her. Gu Wanqing's tears fell in large drops. She guiltily tugged at her own long hair, bit her lower lip in agony. Blood soon trickled from the corner of her mouth, yet she self-destructively bit down even harder. What has she done? For a viper, yet hurt someone who loved her so deeply. How she wished to turn back time and undo everything. But I'm already dead. Everything is beyond redemption. Gu Wanqing closed her eyes in despair. Gu Wanqing left the hospital like a wandering ghost, just returned to the company, just as several secretaries were arguing among themselves. Two of the secretaries said, "Secretary Han, what's the point of keeping this dead man's stuff? Throw it away now. Aren't you afraid of bad luck? Exactly, Jiang Chen is already dead." The boss also detested him. "Hurry up and throw all these things away." Secretary Han was hesitating. The sound of high heels clicking came from behind. How dare anyone throw these away? Instantly, the secretaries froze in place, looked somewhat flustered at Gu Wanqing, President Su. These were all things young Master Song asked us to throw away. He said the belongings of the deceased are unlucky. Let us— Her words were cut short before she could finish speaking. Gu Wanqing coldly interrupted, "Am I your boss, or is he your boss?" As soon as these words were spoken, the secretaries below immediately became as silent as cicadas in winter. Gu Wanqing's icy gaze swept over the three people present. "In the future, anyone who does so without me permission, touch Jiang Chen's things, and get out of the Gu group." Yes, several secretaries were about to retreat in fear when Gu Wanqing suddenly spoke up. "Wait, Secretary Han, stay." Secretary Han froze in her movements, had no choice but to stay. The other secretaries were looking at her with eyes full of schadenfreude. President Su likes young Master Song the most. Even if she's angry, it's only temporary. Secretary Han's taking sides will definitely get her reprimanded by President Su. They are just waiting to see the joke. Gu Wanqing looked at Secretary Han with a complicated expression. This is the secretary who has been with her the longest, was also the only one who ever spoke up for me. She seems to be the only person who has given me warmth in these 3 years. Gu Wanqing suddenly felt a strong urge to have a good conversation with her, or perhaps, to understand the person she never truly knew in those 3 years. Secretary Han looked at Gu Wanqing somewhat nervously. "President Su, I didn't mean to defy you, it's just that Mr. Zhang is truly a scoundrel. I don't want the last remnants of his belongings to be thrown into the trash bin either." "Good person. Do you know Jiang Chen well?" Gu Wanqing remained silent for a long time before speaking. Secretary Han was taken aback. Seemed not to expect Gu Wanqing to ask these questions. The old acquaintance is gone. In the future, the nation will be under Song Jinian's rule. Logically speaking, she shouldn't have told Gu Wanqing these things, but she couldn't help it. "Su Fen, I've been working at Gu Corporation since I graduated from university. Has been with you the longest, who is truly devoted to you, who is insincere to you. I can tell at a glance." She cautiously raised her head, seeing that Gu Wanqing showed no signs of anger, then spoke up. "I wouldn't dare say I know much about Mr. Jiang, but he was among all the men you've dated, the most sincere and substantial to you. Others may love your beauty, or love your family background, or love your power, but only Mr. Jiang is willing to throw himself into the flames for you like a moth to fire. Nothing holds him back." Gu Wanqing's delicate eyebrows furrowed tightly, her hands clutching her shoulders, turning slightly blue from the exertion. Secretary Han noticed that Gu Wanqing was still listening, then continued. I know you only have young Master Song in your heart, but when it comes to devotion, not even 10 young Master Songs could compare to a single Mr. Jiang. Back then, you begged young Master Song not to leave, yet he still abandoned you. During that time, you were both drinking heavily and self-harming. Did he ever come back to see you? If it weren't for Mr. Jiang staying by your side day and night, I was worried you wouldn't make it through, especially that time when you got drunk and attempted to slit your wrists. It was Mr. Jiang who used his own flesh and blood to shield you. Later, that scar remained on his arm. Who wouldn't be afraid of that gleaming knife? But Mr. Jiang would disregard everything for your sake. He obeyed your every command. As long as you say the word, there's nothing he wouldn't agree to. Even an outsider like me can see his devotion to you. Yet you keep hurting him over and over again. Secretary Han let out a faint sigh. Money is easy to obtain, but true sincerity is hard to come by. I'm afraid no one will ever love you like he did again. Love you as much as life itself. Previously you said that as long as Mr. Jiang agreed to chop off his hand for young Master Song, you would grant him a title. At that moment, I was genuinely happy for Mr. Jiang. He had devoted 3 years and was finally about to see results. Yet who would have thought that young Master Song only needed to throw a tantrum? You didn't even give him this last hope. When Mr. Jiang was about to lose his hand, his body was already in very poor condition. Your final breach of promise, like the last straw that breaks the camel's back. He went to sever his hand in utter despair. Even so, he also kept his final promise, wanted to fulfill your wish. Secretary Han's gaze drifted into the distance. Now the deceased has passed away. No matter how much the living say, it's useless. I spoke out of turn today just because I couldn't stand the injustice done to Mr. Jiang. Finally, she turned to Gu Wanqing and said solemnly, President Su, you can fire me now. She knew that her words today would not only offend Song Jinian, but also Su Wanqing, and offended Su Wanting. But I've already lost my life. She didn't want me to die so silently and unnoticed, unclear and unexplained. Gu Wanqing seemed lost in thought. After a long silence, she said, Who said I was going to fire you? Secretary Han was somewhat taken aback. But I offended young Master Song in Gu Corporation in the future, Gu Wanqing said coldly. Song Jinian is Song Jinian, and the Gu Corporation is the Gu Corporation. Since when does he have the right to dictate the affairs of my Gu Corporation? Secretary Han grew even more puzzled. You mean I won't be with Song Jinian? Gu Wanqing said resolutely. Secretary Han was taken aback upon hearing this, then nodded with barely concealed relief, slowly stepped back. Gu Wanqing looked at the few meager belongings of mine on the desk, her eyes slightly reddened. Things bring back memories of the person. Everything from the past 3 years flashed through her mind like a revolving lantern. She thought I was unimportant, even annoyed by me always clinging to her side. But after truly losing me, Gu Wanqing felt that something was wrong everywhere. I had already become an indispensable part of her life. Unfortunately, she realized it too late. I have already left her completely. Gu Wanqing helplessly covered her eyes. Tears streamed through her fingers. This iron-willed female CEO showed vulnerability for the first time. In the following days, Gu Wanqing locked herself in the office. The Gu family members and her close friends, she refused to see anyone. The situation is even more terrifying than when Song Jinian went abroad. Song Jinian was truly panicking at this moment. He has already released the news. His leukemia was cured. Normally, Gu Wanqing would have been by his side like a loyal dog, by her bedside. Yet she never showed her face, and even when I condescended to call her, she didn't answer any of them. This is truly abnormal. Song Jinian finally began to feel uneasy. Could it be that his plan had been discovered by Gu Wanqing? At this thought, he grew even more unsettled. Because Gu Wanqing had never treated him so coldly before, he thought of an even more terrifying possibility. Could Gu Wanqing have changed her heart? This possibility had just crossed his mind. Song Jinian immediately denied. Gu Wanqing has loved him for so long. How could she change her heart so easily? Even if she really discovered some clues. As long as I shed a few tears in front of her, she will definitely forgive me. Just like before. This time will be the same. Song Jinian kept comforting himself in his heart. He deliberately wore a hospital gown and hurried to Gu's group. Song Jinian stepped on the accelerator and quickly arrived at Gu Corporation. He had never been so exaggerated before. His hands couldn't stop trembling. Wanqing, it's Jinian. Why don't you answer my phone call? I've been ill for so long, don't you even want to see me? He was making a scene all over the Gu Corporation. It was still a few secretaries who brought him to the CEO's office. Song Jinian stared at the tightly closed office door. His face instantly darkened. He had always held the upper hand in front of Gu Wanqing. Where has he ever suffered such a cold shoulder before? Song Jinian couldn't help but pound heavily on the door, saying, Wanqing, what's wrong with you? I'm suffering from such a serious illness. How could you shut me out? Did Zhangchen say something to you? Or do you think I'm the one who caused Zhangchen's death? He just chopped off a hand for me? It was just his bad luck that an accident happened. Are you going to blame his sins on me? This is not my fault. Blame his ill-fated destiny. This has nothing to do with me. Before he could finish speaking, the door was suddenly flung open from behind. Gu Wanqing's pale and aloof face appeared before Song Jinian. Her voice was as cold as the depths of winter. "Shut your mouth," Song Jinian felt the chilling glare from Gu Wanqing. Couldn't help but feel a chill down his spine. All the words he originally wanted to say were stuck in his throat. Sister Wanqing had never treated him like this before. He trembled as he stepped forward, trying to squeeze out a few tears, winning Gu Wanqing's sympathy. But the next moment, Gu Wanqing said coldly, "At this very moment, do you still think you can deceive me with those crocodile tears?" Seeing that his tried-and-true trick no longer worked, Song Jinian, his face instantly turned cold. "What did I lie to you about?" Jiang Chen couldn't endure having his hand chopped off. That was his own problem. Is this also to be blamed on me? And are you really going to argue with me over a simp? Gu Wanqing, Gu Wan, please make it clear I am the one you love the most. Or are you saying you've been swayed by that Jiang Chen? Don't want me anymore. Moved by Jiang Chen, Gu Wanqing was stunned for a moment upon hearing this, then fell into deep thought. Has she already been moved by Jiang Chen? Perhaps. Time and again, he risked his life for me. From that moment on, she might have already fallen in love with him. But back then, she was too proud to admit it. But now, she can finally say the words in her heart. I was touched by Jiang Chen and have already fallen in love with him. Already fallen for her. Gu Wanqing raised her head and stared at Song Jinian, enunciating each word clearly. What? Song Jinian heard this, his face contorted into an extremely ferocious expression for an instant. He had put in so much effort, scheming and planning every move, but in the end, Gu Wanqing actually fell in love with Jiang Chen. You're lying. You clearly love me the most. How could you fall for Jiang Chen? He rushed forward like a madman, trying to grab Gu Wanqing's arm, but was mercilessly slapped away by Gu Wanqing. Song Jinian, considering we've known each other for many years, don't want to embarrass you too much? If you keep pestering me endlessly, don't blame me for being impolite. Song Jinian's expression changed abruptly, then said somewhat flustered, Wanqing, did Jiang Chen say something to you? He's jealous that you like me. He must have slandered me. Gu Wanqing's eyes were filled with mockery, raised her hand and pressed play on the video. In an instant, Song Jinian's face drastically changed. He panicked and rushed forward to snatch the phone. But how could Gu Wanqing let him snatch it? She coldly stared at Song Jinian and enunciated each word clearly. From today onwards, don't show up in front of me again. With that, she slammed the door shut. No, Wanqing, listen to me. Please listen to me. Song Jinian frantically rushed forward and pounded on the door. There was no response from inside. Wanqing, you clearly love me the most. How could you change your mind? That Jiang Chen has only been around for 2 years. Our childhood bond. Don't be fooled by him. Those videos and audio recordings must have been fabricated by him. Even in death, he refuses to let me go. Song Jinian pounded on the door outside, weeping bitterly, but there was still no sound from inside. Finally, he was completely bewildered and cried out, Wanqing, I admit I had some ulterior motives, but it's also because I like you so much. I acted this way because I was afraid of losing you. It's because I love you. I know I was wrong. Please open the door, okay? Wanqing, I'm really in so much pain. Will you look at me? This time he was genuinely panicked. In the past, Gu Wanqing obeyed his every wish. Her heart would break at the sight of his tears. But now she was as cold as ice, shutting him out the door, shut her out, until late at night. The office door still showed no intention of opening. No matter how Song Jinian cried and made a scene, Gu Wanqing was determined not to see him. She has always been the kind who loves to the extreme and hates to the extreme, wishes death upon those she hates. In the end, Song Jinian had no choice but to wipe away his tears and leave. I stood there looking at Xiao, feeling as if all the blood in my body had turned cold. I didn't expect that Xiao would come back to life, but has forgotten me. Those eyes that once looked at me with deep affection, now only filled with unfamiliarity and distance, unwilling to give up. I grabbed Xiao's hand. Don't you really remember me? I'm Jiang Chen. We're about to get married. Have you forgotten all of this? Xiao seemed startled and quickly withdrew her hand. Sir, I really don't know you. You've got the wrong person. My heart shattered into pieces as I watched Xiao's evasive demeanor. How could this be? I endured for 3 years. I thought everything could be set right again, but Shi Yue had completely forgotten about me. Unwilling to give up, I stepped forward stubbornly and said, Think again carefully. I'm Jiang Chen. We met during university. At that time, I was still a poor student, couldn't even afford meals. It was you who secretly topped up my meal card. Later, you accompanied me to Jay-Z. I bought you the first bouquet of flowers in your life. We agreed to settle down in this city and even made a vow to get married right after graduation. Have you forgotten all these little moments we shared? Although Shiwan couldn't recall, but looking at the longing gaze in the man's eyes before her, suddenly, her heart ached with sorrow. She clearly didn't know him. Why does he feel so familiar to me? Could they really have had a past together? But I can't remember anything at all. I saw Xian frowning with a pained expression on her face. Still couldn't bear to CJ her again. We have a long life ahead of us. As long as Xian can come back to life, I will definitely make her remember, even if she can't remember. What does it matter if I pursue Xiao again? I've already waited for her for 3 years. I'm not afraid to wait another 3 years. As long as the two can be together in health and peace is the best ending. But at this thought, I couldn't help but think of another person. Gu Wanqing must have seen my corpse by now. I've lost my chastity, haven't I? I wonder what her reaction would be. I smiled self-deprecatingly. Probably won't react much. After all, Gu Wanqing only loved Song Jinian. What am I anyway? Little did she know, Gu Wanqing was nearly going insane. She had never imagined that one day she would truly fall in love with me. Never imagined she would fall in love with me. I'm already dead. The office was filled with the strong smell of alcohol. Gu Wanqing kept drinking heavily. She found herself both pitiful and ridiculous. She didn't know how to cherish him when he was around. After death, she became all the more attached and concerned. Only now do I realize my past mistakes. All wrong. Gu Wanqing took another big gulp of wine. She coughed violently from drinking too hastily. But she knew even if she coughed violently, no matter how violently he coughs, and no one would bring her a cup of hot tea anymore. I'm already gone. No matter how much she regrets, it's irreparable. Secretary Han said Jiang Chen loved her as dearly as his own life. But now this person is gone. What use is her own life to her now? No one will ever love her like Jiang Chen did. In a daze, Gu Wanqing shattered the wine glass. Gu Wanqing smashed the wine glass, looked at her wrist, had an impulse to end it all. She had drunk too much alcohol. At this moment, there was a feeling, as long as she cuts herself, you can meet the person you've been longing for, Jiang Chen. I truly love you. Let me come to see you, okay? Gu Wanqing's consciousness was already somewhat hazy, but her hand movements were swift. Just as she was about to pierce the artery, suddenly, a mechanical voice sounded in her mind. Hello, host. System testing. You wish to see Jiang Chen? As long as you complete the tasks, you will be sent to Jiang Chen's world. Do you accept? What? As long as you complete the tasks, you can go to Jiang Chen's world. Gu Wanqing was startled and mostly sobered up from her drunkenness. What does this mean? Could it be that Jiang Chen isn't actually dead? Gu Wanqing seemed to have grabbed onto the last lifeline. I accept. What do you want me to do? As long as I can see Jiang Chen again, she is willing to sacrifice everything. The mechanical prompt tone sounded in his mind again. The mission requires you to make Jiang Chen genuinely fall in love with you within 7 days. Is this the task? Gu Wanqing was stunned for a moment, then fell into ecstasy. I have genuinely loved her all along. Why bother with self-strategizing? It seems that this is the heavens giving her a chance to let her continue our predestined relationship with me. She agreed without hesitation. Okay, system notification. If you cannot make Jiang Chen truly fall in love with you within 7 days, we'll order you to return to your original world, while you will also lose your beauty and status, power, and everything in this world. Gu Wanqing was very confident. Okay, I agree. She believes I love her with my life, even in another world. She was confident this would not change, so she would never lose everything in this world. System binding successful. The 7-day countdown begins. The system prompt had just ended. Gu Wanqing felt a wave of dizziness in her head. Then the glass in her hand fell to the ground, completely passed out. When she regained consciousness, had already arrived in the parallel universe. Gu Wanqing looked at the completely unfamiliar streets and alleys. This must be Jiang Chen's world, right? She had thought all of this was just a desperate fantasy born from her despair. It turned out to be true. Gu Wanqing was overjoyed. She is about to see me. She was confident that as long as she could see me, we'll definitely be able to complete the system's task immediately. The two of us can return to the original world together. Gu Wanqing quickly found my home under the system's guidance. She walked to the downstairs of my home, subconsciously took out a small mirror to tidy up her hair. For some unknown reason, she had never been so shy when spending time with WR at night before. At this moment, she was acting like a little girl about to meet her sweetheart. After all, she is the daughter of the wealthiest person, has seen countless men, yet no man had ever made her so nervous. I wonder if I'll feel excited when I see her. Jiang Chen must be missing me too, right? While Gu Wanqing was pondering, a familiar figure was walking towards her. I was wearing a simple white t-shirt, yet appeared full of vitality. Eyes were also bright, vibrant appearance. This was a side of Gu Wanqing she had never seen before. She instinctively stepped forward, but I lost my footing and almost slipped. Phew, good thing I didn't get the t-shirt Xiao bought for me dirty. I carefully avoided the clothes and patted the dirt off my palms. But just as I looked up and caught sight of Gu Wanqing, my face suddenly changed. I fiercely rubbed my eyes, and then couldn't believe it. Gu Wanqing didn't notice the overwhelming astonishment in my eyes. She rushed forward with joy. Jiang Chen, I miss you so much. The next moment she was about to rush into my embrace, but I frantically took a big step back. His gaze was icy and his tone brimmed with resistance. How did you get here? Could it be that she also bound the system? Gu Wanqing felt a pang of sadness seeing my icy demeanor. In her imagination, I should have been very happy to see her. How could I push her away? Jiang Chen, aren't you happy to see me? I made great efforts to come to your world. Her words were cut off before she could finish. Gu Wanqing, you should go back. I've already started a new life. Don't want to recall the past anymore. Gu Wanqing couldn't believe how much I had changed. But soon she figured it out. Must be that I'm angry with her. After all, she had caused me so much harm before, and even asked me to chop off my hand for another man. She must think I'm very angry, Jiang Chen. It was all my fault in the past. I've watched all the videos and listened to all the voice messages you left. I didn't know you suffered so much injustice. I'm here to apologize to you. And I have already figured it out. The person I truly love isn't Song Jinian at all. It's you. Without you, I feel like the world has lost all meaning. Would you come back with me? Her eyes glistened with deep affection as she said, I will love you with all my heart, never let you suffer grievances again. I could only feel helpless as I looked at Gu Wanqing's affectionate demeanor. I don't know why Gu Wanqing came to my world, nor do I know what mission the system assigned to her, but I guess it's nothing more than to get my forgiveness. But I no longer care about the pain I suffered in the past. As long as it can bring Xiao back, all of this is worth it. I sighed and said, Gu Wanqing, perhaps I didn't make myself clear. Now I'm telling you, what's in the past is in the past. I won't blame you, but there's no possibility for us anymore. I left the phone just to let you've seen through Song Jinian's true colors. Now you know, I also hope you can find a good partner in the future. We owe each other nothing now. I nodded and turned to leave. Gu Wanqing was still standing there in a daze. She gazed at my departing figure, couldn't understand why the person who once loved her like life itself, why the sudden change of face. She even felt that this was no longer the former me. I wasn't as excited and thrilled as Gu Wanqing had imagined, but was instead very calm, even to the point of seeming heartless. She didn't understand how a person could change so much in just a few days. Could it be that I'm too angry? That's why I said such angry words. Gu Wanqing took a deep breath and secretly clenched her fists. Secretly, she must win me over as long as I forgive her, could love her as before, and there are still 7 days left. I loved her so much back then, she will surely make me change my mind. After parting ways with Gu Wanqing on my end, turned back home, but as soon as I got home, Shi Yao was not at home. There was a note left on the dining table. Zhang Chen, I'm working overtime today. The food is in the fridge. Eat it early. I looked at this familiar note, an indescribable warmth in my heart. It feels like I've gone back 3 years. Shi Yao would also leave me meals when she worked overtime, even if she forgot herself, but the innate gentleness and kindness will never change. I smiled as I took the meal out from the fridge to heat it up. As soon as I took the first bite, my eyes welled up with tears. It's still the same taste. I've been missing this taste for 3 whole years. I wolfed down the food in big mouthfuls, while shedding tears. Shizhen had just walked in when she saw this scene. She was somewhat at a loss. What's wrong with you? Is the food not to your taste? Listening to her concerned words, my tears fell even harder. She used to care for me like this too. Although Shi Yao was a girl, but always took great care of me. Back when we first graduated, we had no money at all. Shi Yao would rather eat vegetable leaves herself, would still make sure I had chicken legs to eat. Her clothes had been washed until they were nearly transparent, still saved up money to buy me new clothes. Even in the last moments of life, she also left the hope of survival to me. And after I time traveled, I stood in the role of Shi Yao. It was only during those 2 years that I realized how difficult Shi Yao's life had been all these years. I wiped my tears and said, not very nostalgic, Shi Yao smiled gently. If you like it, I'll make it for you every day from now on. Hearing these words, my heart was filled with warmth. With a wife like this, what more could I ask for, even if she forgot all our past memories but still cares about me? The next morning, I had just gone downstairs. I saw Gu Wanqing waiting for me downstairs. She seemed to have stayed out all night. Her body was covered in a cold mist. Gu Wanqing possessed an exquisitely beautiful face. Even after a sleepless night, she remained stunningly beautiful and stood out. In the crowd, many men nearby were captivated by her gaze. Yet she turned a blind eye. But the moment Gu Wanqing saw me, her eyes lit up. You're awake. I bought you some soy milk. You used to love it the most. With that, she took out a cup of still warm soy milk from her bosom, smiled and handed it over. I wasn't happy about MN's attention though, instead looked helpless. Thank you. But I've already told you. What happened is in the past. I want to live my own life. Why are you still bothering me? Zhang Chen, I just want to make it up to you. Gu Wanqing stepped forward. Her eyes were filled with misery and humility. No need. I firmly refuse. Gu Wanqing, let me say it again. What's done is done. I don't blame you, so there's nothing to make up for. You're not from this world. Just go back and live your own life already. Me eyes are already showing some impatience. In order to resurrect Xiao, I obeyed Gu Wanqing's every whim. We were just using each other for our own ends. So I never blamed Gu Wanqing, but Gu Wanqing kept disturbing my life. I was really annoyed. We were originally 2 parallel lines. Our brief intersection was driven by fate. Now everything is over. Should return to their own worlds. Gu Wanqing was puzzled. Zhang Chen, I don't understand. You clearly loved me so much before. How could you change into a completely different person in just a few days? I don't believe those 2 years of feelings were fake. I never meant to hurt her. Seeing Gu Wanqing's relentless questioning, he had no choice but to say solemnly, what if I said it was all fake? These words struck like a bolt from the blue. Gu Wanqing was completely stunned. How could this be? He said all this was fake. But if it was truly fake, why could he persist for 3 years? Gu Wanqing was completely dumbfounded at this moment. She didn't want to believe it, nor was she willing to believe it. She is relying on me, love, came to this world with unyielding courage. If I don't love her, then what reason is there for her existence? She could only tell herself over and over again, I'm just still angry with her. Once I cool down, would surely treat her as before. She must confront me and get it all out in the open. Unfortunately, I spent the next few days avoiding her. Gu Wanqing never got the chance. That day, I invited Xiao to the amusement park. I wanted to revisit the old place, evoke Xiao's memories of the past. Jillian was still very kind to me, but compared to before, there was a bit more politeness and distance. I hope she can be like before. Fortunately, Jillian couldn't bear to refuse and still agreed. I was very happy this day. Unexpectedly, an accident happened while we were crossing the road. A drunk driver lost control of the car and was heading straight towards Xiao. Those painful memories from 3 years ago flooded back into my mind. Xiao was covered in blood. The scene of her collapsing in my arms remains vivid in my mind. I cannot let the tragedy happen again. At this moment, I abruptly pushed Xiao away, gave her a desolate smile. It was you who protected me in the past. Now it's my turn to protect you. I slowly closed my eyes. Crash! The sound of heavy objects colliding came through. But the expected pain never came. I instinctively opened my eyes only to panic upon discovering the person blocking in front of me was Gu Wanqing. At this moment, her forehead was covered in bright red blood. Her eyes were tightly closed. Finally, someone belatedly realized. Call an ambulance quickly. There's been a car accident here. I also panicked. I never would have thought Gu Wanqing actually stepped in front of me. Is she out of her mind? I immediately picked up Gu Wanqing and rushed towards the ambulance. Xiao, kind-hearted as always, quickly followed along. The lights in the emergency room lit up. I sat restlessly outside the operating room. Although I have no romantic feelings for Gu Wanqing, but seeing her get hit by a car for me, it's impossible to remain unmoved. Siluo looked at my pale face, reached out to hold my icy hand. You know this person, right? Your expression when she was hit by the car, not like looking at a stranger. After a long silence, I gently held Shiyu's delicate hand in return. I have something to confess to you. Although this matter is absurd, I said here, I even find my own words unbelievable. Xiao said to me gently, go ahead. As long as you say it, I'll believe you. I told Xiao everything that had happened over the past 3 years. Back then, in order to revive you, entered Gu Wanqing's world, the system gave me the mission to obey her every whim until the moment of death. From that moment on, I have been by Gu Wanqing's side every single day. For these 3 years, I've charged into battle for her, swept everything away for her, and even chopped off the hand of the man she loved in the end. But the man Gu Wanqing loved was not a decent person. He repeatedly framed me in that world. I recorded evidence of his crimes. Gu Wanqing must have regretted it after seeing that evidence. So she came to me. To be honest, I don't hate her, I don't hate him. As long as I can bring you back to life, I'm willing to endure any hardship for you. My eyes lowered, but after I returned, I found that you had completely forgotten me. I know these words sound absurd, but it's true. With that, I rolled up my sleeve, let Xiao look at the scars on my palm. Everything else can vanish, but these burn scars will never fade away. Xiao looked at my scar with heartache, rims slightly reddened, then wrapped her arms around my shoulders. I believe in you, but I haven't fully recalled our past yet. Can you give me a little more time? I will definitely remember you. I nodded heavily. Then I secretly made a decision in my heart. After the surgery, the doctor quickly walked out. Who is the family member of Miss Su? I stepped forward. I am. Miss Su only suffered some minor external injuries, has already regained consciousness. Family members may enter. I nodded, then let out a long breath, strode into the operating room. As soon as Gu Wanqing opened her eyes, she saw me looking extremely happy. Here I spoke up. Wanqing, I have something to tell you. Gu Wanqing's smile froze at the corners of her mouth. She suddenly felt an urge to flee. She inexplicably had a premonition. What I'm about to say might be hard for her to accept, but go ahead. I don't want to hurt Gu Wanqing, but if she is always kept in the dark, even more cruel, although I obeyed her every wish but indeed deceived her feelings, we were originally even with each other. But Gu Wanqing rushed out to save me. This, in turn, made me feel reluctant. So I think Gu Wanqing should know the truth about all this. I took a deep breath. Wanqing, to be honest, I've been lying to you from the very beginning. I approached you not because I like you, but to resurrect my true love. As soon as these words were spoken, Gu Wanqing's face instantly turned pale. The color drained from her lips instantly. No, I don't believe it, Zhangchen. Are you saying all these just to make me give up on you? I began narrating to myself. 3 years ago, my beloved and I were caught in a chain reaction car accident on our way to register. At that time, my beloved sacrificed herself to save me and succumbed to her injuries. At that time, I was plunged into utter despair. It was the system that told me, as long as I travel to your world, obey your every wish until the moment of death, can revive me, lover. You are the mission I must complete. But at that time, I had to find an excuse to stay by your side. I could only say it was love at first sight with you, but you never noticed. Although I can go through fire and water for you, but I don't have the slightest affection for you. My words to you are just like carrying out a task. Back then, you heard me say in my sleep that I was leaving. It's also because the death countdown was down to just 7 days. The reason I risked my life to save you time and time again, not because I love you, but because once you died, the mission would be completely terminated. That day at the amusement park wasn't to please you either, but because that day was the anniversary of me and my beloved. The reason I kept that phone, couldn't bear to see you continue being deceived by Song Jinian. So I was never actually angry with you, nor do I need your compensation, because from beginning to end, I was just carrying out a mission. Now the mission is complete. I have returned to my own world and resurrected my beloved. My wish has been fulfilled. As for you, sorry, I never loved you. Everything in those 3 years was an illusion. Because I don't love you, so I felt no possessiveness toward you. Because I don't love you, I can only watch as you're with another man. Because I don't love you, that's why I was able to leave so decisively. I took a deep breath. From beginning to end, all of this was fake. At this moment, Gu Wanqing almost froze in place. I never mentioned these things before. She hadn't noticed yet, but now everything was laid out before her. Gu Wanqing finally understood the strangeness about me. It turns out he never loved her. That so-called sincere love was never directed at her. No wonder every time he looked at her, it was as if he was looking through her at another person. At this moment, Gu Wanqing finally understood my words. My appearance was to fulfill all your wishes. At that time, she was still scorched by my burning love. Now it seems everything was just for the mission. She presumptuously believed that I love her as much as my life. Ha ha ha. So it turns out I'm the joke after all. Gu Wanqing let out a desolate smile. Tears are about to fall. I sat in silence by the side. The tangled web of love and hate between us is like a messy skein of thread. Now I no longer know who owes whom. I quietly kept vigil by Gu Wanqing's side all night. The next morning, Gu Wanqing tidied herself up early, pale-faced, looking at me. Zhangchen, I'm about to leave. Could you give me one last hug? Today is already the 7th and final day. She knew what kind of ending she was about to face, but still can't help wanting to keep the last bit of tenderness. In the past, she didn't know how to cherish me. Now she wants to cherish it, but it's already too late. I have my own beloved, she was thinking all night. If she had treated me well these 3 years, would we have had a different ending? Gu Wanqing's face was filled with bitterness. Only now I realize all the mistakes were wrong. Now she just wants to use her last bit of time to indulge herself one more time. I shook my head with a sigh and did not embrace her, but patted her shoulder reassuringly. Gu Wanqing wasn't that bad, just a spoiled little girl. I also hope that the other party can return to their original world, live her life well. But Gu Wanqing was not satisfied with this small consolation. She was about to pull me into her embrace, but the next moment I suddenly caught a whiff of the familiar floral fragrance. Xiao's gentle face appeared. But what surprised me even more was, Shi Xuan looked at me with her eyes, no longer distant and polite, but was filled with the love of something lost and found again. She remembered. She finally remembered. Shi Xuan looked at Gu Wanqing and said, Miss Su, sorry. He is me man. So let me give you this hug instead. Then she openly embraced Gu Wanqing. My eyes were also red. As if waiting for a long time, covering her face uncontrollably overwhelmed with emotions, Shiluo, you finally remembered. Shi Yao turned back and revealed a big smile. Yes, I remember everything now. Gu Wanqing watched this glaring scene, fighting back tears with blessings in her eyes. Zhangchen, I wish you happiness. I quickly wiped away my tears at that moment, nodded at her with a smile. I also hope you can find happiness. Hurry back to your world. I had no idea what Gu Wanqing was about to face. Gu Wanqing didn't want to tell me any of this, just used her last ounce of strength to etch me deeply into her memory. The mechanical voice in my head sounded again. Hello, host. The 7-day period has ended. System testing shows your mission has failed. Please get prepared. You will lose your beauty, wealth, and power, and everything. Gu Wanqing closed her eyes in relief, soon vanished on the spot. I gazed in the direction where Gu Wanqing had vanished, then tightly hugged Xiao. His body trembled slightly. Luckily, I found you again. Fortunately, I didn't give up during those 3 years. Xiao also hugged him back firmly. Zhangcheng, I will never let go of your hand for the rest of my life. After countless hardships and sifting through the sand, the gold finally emerges. Until now, spring will always come. Fortunately, neither of us lost the other.